Alright guys, so it's the middle of March in Seattle, and I just woke up and there's something weird going on. The sun is shining, so I think we should go out and take some pictures, before that goes away. I should probably eat some breakfast first. I don't know about you guys, but I think that for my money there's not much more satisfying than a nice cheap stack of quality pancakes. And that goes for shooting photos too.
Hey everybody, Ryan from Seymoure Carnage Photography back with another episode of Camera Carnage. And it should come as no surprise to you that my love for a good bargain extends beyond lighting and other accessories. I love bargain camera equipment too. So today we're going to be talking about some good cheap lenses, specifically really small ones. There's just something so fun about shooting with pancake lenses. They can make a small, mirrorless body downright pocket-sized, and they put out those cool vintage rangefinder vibes. Plus, you can potentially pack an entire arsenal of small lenses in the same amount of space that a standard zoom or prime would take up. There's a reason why lenses like the Fuji XF 27mm pancake are so popular on the market right now, and so hard to find. But at $300 to $400, those aren't exactly cheap lenses. There's a lot of great values out there in manual vintage lenses, like these FD mount Canon ones, but the problem is those require an adapter to go on your camera, and that adds weight and bulk. Lucky for us, there's a lot of great modern manual focus lenses available at great prices. A while ago I looked back at some of my favorite street and travel photos taken with my go-to lens, the Fuji 18 to 55, and I noticed a trend. I definitely like to shoot at 18mm, somewhere in the mid-20s, and at 55. There wasn't a whole lot of in between. So I found the 3 cheapest pancake lenses that I could that covered those 3 focal ranges and picked them up to put them through their paces. Now, I'm not going to go into deep technical reviews of these 3 lenses because they've all been, for the most part, covered very comprehensively by other people. Instead, I'm just going to be focusing on the joy of shooting with them and the value that each one represents. So to start, I picked up the TTArtisan's 25mm f2 and 50mm f2, and these are both critically acclaimed budget manual compact lenses available for $65 and $80 respectively. So these 2 lenses cover the middle and long range of my shooting preferences nicely. They're very solidly built, they have nice soft click aperture adjustments and smooth focus rings. So I definitely used the 25 the most. It proved to be the most flexible focal length as I was walking around Seattle. The focus ring is really nicely damped, and it's just over a quarter turn from stop to stop, which allowed for quick but accurate focus in busy scenarios. With focus peaking turned on, I was able to focus very quickly and accurately. I didn't even miss having autofocus. That wide f2 aperture is really nice to have in the challenging and dynamic lighting in and around the Pike Place market, and it gives a great shallow depth of field with relatively pleasing bokeh. To be honest, I liked it so much that it's probably going to replace the Fuji 27mm as my walk-around street lens. The 50mm offers the exact same great build, feel, and handling. The only real difference is that the focus ring travel is much longer at nearly half a turn. Again, shooting wide open offered really pleasing shallow depth of field and separation, and the sharpness was generally excellent across the frame, regardless of the aperture. It also served well as an impromptu portrait lens and a decent landscape shooter. So finding something in an 18mm equivalent was tricky, because there were only really 2 options available on the market for a pancake. The 7Artisan's 18mm f6.3 UFO2 or the Voigtlander 18mm f2.8 Scopar. Now the 7 Artisans is definitely a tiny value, retailing as low as $40 in some places, but that f6.3 aperture left me a little worried about low light shooting since none of my bodies have IBIS. The Voigtlander is truly a work of art, but at $700 it is a zero away from being considered a bargain lens, so I had to expand my search a little bit. The only other lens that I could find that was reasonably in the ballpark was this AstrHori, aka Rockstar 14mm f4.5. So this is a funky little lens without a lot of reviews or hype around it, but the faster f4.5 aperture and the fact that somehow it appeared to be a rectilinear lens for right around $65 convinced me to give it a shot. And I'm glad I did, because let me tell you, this ended up being the most fun out of the 3 lenses to use. The focus ring is nice and smooth, and it's only about a quarter turn from lock to lock. Minimum focus is less than a foot, and infinity focus was just around 10 feet away. So I spent most of my time walking around with this just set at infinity and snapping away because everything was in zone focus. But when I needed to, I could get up close and personal with objects and completely fill the frame without having to worry about going beyond minimum focus. The f4.5 aperture strikes a nice balance between decent light gathering and just enough depth of field to keep things interesting. And the lack of barrel distortion was absolutely a cherry on top. This lens was just an absolute kick to use. So yeah, 3 third-party manual focus pancake lenses, 2 of them at f2, for less than the price of 1 OEM autofocus pancake lens. That's pretty hard to beat. I highly recommend all 3 of these lenses, but the simplicity and the fun factor of the AstrHori 14mm just made it extra special. So there you have it. Cheap third-party pancake lenses are sharp, useful, and fun to use, and they can save you as much room in your bag as they do in your bank account. Thanks for watching this episode of Camera Carnage. I'm Ryan from Seymoure Carnage Photography. If you like what you saw here, please be sure to like and subscribe to be notified of future content, and if you have questions or comments, go ahead and leave them below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Until then, take care.